Can poor sleep cause AFIB, or could it be a dietary issue? Linda wants to know. Both. It could be either one. I actually had, it's funny, no, it's not funny, it's scary more than anything. I had a client just a few weeks ago. Her doctors wanted to do ablation surgery on her heart. Basically, they wanted to destroy part of the nervous system in her heart because of AFib. And, you know, she told the cardiologist, she said, look, I drank a bunch of coffee before coming in today. I know this is not normal for me. This is happening as a result of that. And so, you know, let's not jump the gun. Well, anyway, they really pressured her. They kept telling her she was going to die if she didn't get the ablation. Like, you know, this is unfortunate, but some doctors are that way. They put a ton of pressure on you, even though they're wrong. And in this case, it was a caffeine overload. So, but AFib definitely can be a diet issue. AFib can be a number of things. It can be magnesium deficiency, it could be potassium imbalance, it could be calcium, it could be B vitamin deficiency, vitamin B1. And there are a lot of different things that can cause AFib. Remember, the heart is a muscle, and the muscle is under the direction of the nervous system, right? And so any nutrients that can impact the way the nervous system communicates how the heart should beat is going to have the potential to create a disruption in that. So you can't forget that. That's why you can never just ignore the nutrition part. Could walking, I'm trying to understand this question, could walking between 2 and 4 be due to histamine or cortisol release? Oh, waking, sorry, I thought it said walking. Could waking between 2 and 4 be due to histamine or cortisol release? Could be. You know, part of it is, how do you feel when you wake at that time of the night? Are you mentally just wide awake, like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed? Are you alert? Is your heart racing? What's going on when you wake up? That's another cue in. So kind of understanding how you feel when you wake up is sometimes a good insight as to what is triggering, you know, the wake up in and of itself. Let's see here. Why do I wake up between 4 or 5 a.m. being wide awake until I fall asleep again around 6? I then wake up at 8:30. Well, I mean, that's hard to answer that question because there's so many variables and factors as to why you might be having that wake up time, Dahlia. Without a greater degree of history, it's really hard for me to shoot at that. You might be hitting a low blood sugar. That's a very strong possibility. What about menopause, waking up many times with flash, wet to sweating the bone, or wet to the bone? What can we do to have a good night's sleep without waking up for that reason? Yeah, that's a good one, Nancy. So one of the best things that you can do if you've got a really severe type of hot flash that's happening is we have a formula called Women's Formula. And we can put a link up for you, but it's a mixture of different things they're called adaptogenic herbs. And a lot of women that have hot flashes, when using these herbs, it dramatically reduces that and allows them to get a good sound night's sleep without, you know, waking up soaking wet in their clothes. You also might look at, you know, again, your diet, because I've seen cases where women were having symptoms of what we call menopause, but really what was happening was their diet was bad or their thyroid medicine was too strong. So there are other things that can contribute to that. But I would start with, if it's just what you think is just menopausal symptoms, I would start with Women's Formula, because it's got a nice blend of different herbals that can really help balance that out. Let's see here. Thyroid issues for years now. Stopped eating wheat, dairy, and sugar. I've suffered insomnia for years now. What can I use to fix my thyroid? So Hazel, I'd say, I don't know whether or not you're on thyroid medication, but I can just comment to this. I see a lot of times where women in particular who've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism and they're being treated with thyroid hormone. And there are two scenarios here. One scenario is where they're being treated because they have abnormal thyroid hormone numbers, like their doctor's measuring their TSH, their T3, their T4, and they're medicating and checking their dose periodically every 3 to 6 months or so. And I've seen other scenarios where doctors just say, we're going to put you on thyroid hormone because your symptoms match that, and even if your blood doesn't show that you need thyroid hormone, we're going to put you on it anyway. And what I see a lot of is when those types come in, usually they're being way over medicated, and you check their TSH and their TSH is below 0.5, which it should never be below 0.5. If your TSH is below 0.5, odds are you're being over medicated and you need to talk with your prescribing doctor about adjusting your dose. But that's a very, very common thing to see, is especially when people start going gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free, their thyroid starts working again. And so if they're on medicine from a prior diagnosis, a lot of times their medicine becomes too strong. And so they actually now start having hot flashes, trouble sleeping, increased anxiety, drier skin, more hair loss. Those are some of the symptoms associated with the thyroid medicine being too high. So be cautious with that. Let's see. What causes night sweats? Lots of different things. One of the biggest is overdose of medications. Another one, alcohol is a big one that causes night sweats. Eating too large of a meal too late in the day can cause you to wake up in sweats. Hormonal disruptions can cause night sweats. So Dennis wants to know, is it true that women need 2 hours of sleep more than men per night? Yes and no. I'd say one, it depends on the woman, and it depends on the day of that the woman, like the level of physical exertion that the woman exerts through the course of her day. Like I would say, if a woman was CrossFitting and a man was CrossFitting, that woman should definitely probably get err on the side of more sleep to heal and repair and recover. As a general rule of thumb, again, this is just a sex difference between men and women. Men are more physically capable of handling stress. So the more stress a woman gets put under, beyond what is maybe typical, she should increase her sleep to recover from that increase in stress. So again, it's not, I wouldn't say all women need 2 more hours a night sleep than men. I would say it depends on their lifestyle and what they're doing. Let's see here. Magnesium. So Robbie says, magnesium, GABA, CBD really help me with sleep. But when I take melatonin, it gives me the most crazy dreams ever and makes me feel hungover the next day. Some people will get that from melatonin. And the same can be true as well of magnesium, the magnesium threonate. We call them ninja dreams, because what I see happen in a lot of people is they have very vivid dreams. And sometimes those vivid dreams are nightmares, and they can be kind of scary. But generally when you dream, that's a good sign. You're getting deeper, more restful sleep. If you're not ever dreaming, you probably want to think about how deep and restful your sleep actually is. And that's what Sally's question is. Is it unusual not to dream when you do get to sleep? Yeah, it is. It should be. Dreaming is an important part of your sleep cycle. And so, although it's not unusual, Sally, it's also not ideal. And so you definitely, I can tell you one of the things that can really help with dreams, if you sleep every night and you never dream, one of the things that works brilliantly and can improve your quality of sleep is choline plus vitamin B1. Choline and vitamin B1 together produce acetylcholine, which is a primary neurotransmitter of your parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic is your rest, sleep, digest, and heal, or healing, this neurotransmitter, this part of your nervous system helps you do all this, right, efficiently and well. And if you don't have adequate choline or B1, you can disrupt or reduce your acetylcholine, which can affect the way you rest, sleep, digest, and heal. But I have seen more people report dreaming, having dreams again, with choline and B1. So if you're not dreaming at all, you might just consider that combination. Okay, what else we got here? Having fibro cramps at night, feet and calves, what amount of magnesium? So Karen, it's different for different people. I'd probably start with somewhere in the neighborhood of, at night, taking anywhere from 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium before bed. But I would mix it with, 2 to 1. So about, if you're going to do 300 milligrams of magnesium, for example, take 600 milligrams of calcium. Especially if you're cramping at night, because a lot of times it's the combination of calcium and magnesium and not just one or the other. Do you have a recommendation for an environmental allergy test that can be taken if my Marcon test came back negative, yet my histamine and cortisol are at high levels? Could it be due to having COVID 3 months prior? No. If you had COVID 3 months ago, you shouldn't have high histamine today or high cortisol. What we see, I'm going to just say this, what we see in long COVID, so a lot of people out there struggling with what's being called the long, we'll just call it the long bug, okay? I've seen a couple dozen cases of the long bug, and in every case, those individuals were in mold. And why is that the case? Because when you get sick, what do? When you get sick, you stay home. If your home is moldy and you have a mold problem, now maybe before you were sick, you were out, you were shopping, you were outside, you were doing things, but now you're staying home. So now your level of mold exposure increases, right? And you're trying to recover from a bug. And with a lot of people that got it bad, okay, what happens when you get it bad is your body, your immune system ramps up. What does it do? It takes protein from your muscle. This is why a lot of people lost weight when they were sick, right? It takes the protein from your muscle to help you produce antibodies to go after this bad guy and win that war. But when the war is over, your protein, you've tapped into all your reserve, especially if you weren't in good shape or athletic before, and you become atrophied. Your muscles have atrophied and you have no more reserve. And so what happens is your hair starts falling out. You become protein malnourished, right? You remember a lot of the proteins help us sleep properly, right? So many of the neurotransmitters are protein derivative. What do we need? We need tyrosine, we need tryptophan. These are the backbone amino acids that come from protein that help us produce the neurotransmitters that aid us in falling asleep at night. So our sleep becomes disrupted. But if we're in mold, what does mold do? Mold basically we could draw a whole thing here. Mold damages the kidney. And so it reduces nitrogen retention, which is, what is nitrogen? Nitrogen is protein. So reduces your protein. Your kidney's damaged because of the mold. Your immune system is already shot because you were fighting. And remember what I said earlier, this is one of the causes of elevations in histamine. So now you're not sleeping. You're still staying at home. And so your sleep is junk. Your immune system is tanked. You're not getting out of the mold, and the longer you stay in it, the sicker you feel and the sicker you get. And a lot of people are calling that long COVID. It's an environmental shift, and in 100% of the cases that I've seen have been mold. I haven't seen a case yet of the long haul where mold wasn't playing a major role in contributing to that person's inability to fully recover. And if you're 3 months in, 6 months in, and you aren't recovering, you need to get mold checked out in much more greater detail. Do I recommend technology like Aura to help measure quality of sleep? You can use it. Some people like to use a lot of the devices for biohacking, and you certainly can, but let's say that you use the ring and your quality of sleep is poor. It doesn't necessarily help you any, right? You want actionable things that you can do. What some people do is they make different changes in their sleep hygiene or, in their day, and then they track their sleep to see if it's improving. But I have a little less faith in a lot of these personal wearable devices simply because when you had a good night's sleep. You don't need a ring to tell you whether or not you've had a good night's sleep. When you wake up feeling refreshed and you have good energy, no ring or device, whatever it may be, is going to be helping you understand that it was better or worse without giving you some type of psychological ill effects. Let's see here. I think I answered that one. Eating blueberries, I dream again. Thanks for sharing. So Susan says that eating blueberries, she's starting to dream. Let's see, back it up just a little bit. Oh, I think I answered that one. Oh, wait, here we go, part 2 to it. I dream every night in color and usually remember them well. However, I do wake several times per night to urinate with an overactive bladder. So a couple of things that will wake you up. That's good. A lot of people wake up at night, not because they're waking up because they couldn't sleep, but because they have to urinate. So there are a number of different reasons. One of the reasons people have to wake up and urinate is because their blood sugar is too high. High blood sugar. Diabetes, right? And you don't have to have diabetes. You can be pre-diabetic. So again, if your hemoglobin A1C is 5.7 or higher, you're pre-diabetic. If it's over 6, you're diabetic. And so this is a simple test you can ask your doctor to run, along with some other tests like blood glucose and C-peptide and insulin. But this is one reason, again, blood sugar. And so when your sugar's too high, your kidneys want to filter more, and so you'll have this excessive urination, this greater urge. Now, if you're a man, it could be that you have a prostate enlargement. And there are a number of things that can cause that. In my experience, gluten is a big one. I've seen cases where zinc deficiency and B12, supplementation really were helpful in the prostate. Some also take things like saw palmetto as prostate support supplements that have been shown to have some improvement. But benign prostatic hypertrophy or enlarged prostate can be a reason because it puts pressure on the ureter and the bladder, makes men need to wake up more frequently to go to the bathroom. And so again, catch this early, because if it becomes too big, it can really become a problem. Another thing that I see is toxic burden. Any kind of environmental or food-based toxic burden. Remember, when you have a toxic burden in your bloodstream, you put pressure on the kidneys to filter. When you increase the kidneys' workload, what you're basically going to do is the kidney's going to crank out more urine, and so you're going to have to go to the bathroom more. When I was one of the big things here is mold. Like I was in toxic mold, and one of the things I found with myself personally is I was waking up 3 times a night that I'd have to go to the bathroom, and my sleep was miserable, and that was one of my clue-ins as to why I was being exposed. But it doesn't have to just be mold. It can be other toxins as well. It can be food toxins. It can be other chemical toxins. But anything that increases the work of your kidneys, then you have to realize that your kidneys are going to try to filter better for you. And so you're going to have more urine output as a result of that increased filtration. Is sleepy time tea with valerian okay? Well, valerian tea is fine. I would just say, is the tea that you're looking at, is it organic? Because if it's not organic, I don't know that I would really recommend it. A lot of the herbal teas, if you're not getting them organically, now you run the risk of pesticides and other chemicals. Hey, if you've got a functional medicine or health question that you'd like me to answer for you, make sure you send me an email, glutenology@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to create a video answer just for you. Have a great day.